Hello, I'm Andy Black, and this is my 4-track history. It was the first single that was ever put out because it was the only song that existed at that time. That was, well, I think there were 2 songs that were mixed or could be released. I put it out. It was put out in Cincinnati via MySpace with the original recording and everything, and then I took that recording and put it into the Knives and Pens music video that existed later when I was in LA. So the song was about a year old when the video came out that people started to pay attention to, which is kind of funny now in retrospect because people think that it was a new song in 2009, but it was essentially already a year old, and then suddenly there's a video for it. But to me, it was representative of everything I was feeling when I was 17 years old and writing it. The writing process was pretty simple. It was, Chris Stewart, who was the guitar player in the band at the time, and was one of my best friends when I was in high school, and he and I were in his basement eating pizza rolls at 17 years old and wrote it there. It couldn't really. It was a pretty simple situation, and then we worked with a local producer in a house in Covington, Kentucky, and recorded it. And that was it. I mean, it's funny that song became what it was because the derivation and everything was so simple. I remember that there was supposed to be a bass player in the music video, and it's myself, Chris Hollywood, and Sandra Alba, and there was Alan, who I found on MySpace. Alan, if you're watching this, I've talked about Alan before. I don't have any contact with him. I found a guy on MySpace named Alan who was supposed to be the bass player in the video and then would have, I guess, gone on to be the bass player in the band. Because when I put the band together for the video, the band didn't exist in that context. I basically said, hey, do you want to be in my band? Let's do a video to both Chris and Sandra and Alan. Alan was there the night before. We did the whole rehearsal, went through it. Alan had his white clothes. Alan's girlfriend's dog was sick in San Jose. And so Alan flew to San Jose, which I totally understand. Never heard from Alan again. He was not in the video. I don't know what Alan's doing these days. But Alan, I wish you would have been in the video with us. Who knows what would have happened, what our career trajectory would have been had you and me been in the video together, Alan. Where are you, Alan? Track 2 is In the End. In the End, it's kind of interesting. The song was written after the death of my grandfather, and it was inspired by my grandfather's death in many ways, and I was very close to him. And what's really interesting about it is it's totally wild. About, I don't know, maybe 3 months after the song was out, and it was my grandpa's song. It's known in our family that song was inspired by his death and everything. And we found the eulogy that he had written for his father when he died, and this is I was maybe a year old, or maybe it was a year before I was born. But there are sentence, like word for word, exact sentences that are in his eulogy for his father that are in the lyrics to In the End, and I'd never seen this before, and it was really freaky. It's word for word, almost the entire chorus is in this eulogy. And again, I'd never seen it before. So really odd and super significant to me, and a song that I know for my family means quite a bit. Every time we play it live, my grandmother loves to see videos of it being played around the world because, it's the significance of him being involved. Yeah, my friend Ryan calls it our time capsule song, in that if there was one song of the band that gets kind of put into a time capsule and shot out into space, what someone might find what was representative of the band. I don't know. Like I've always said, you got to have an element of luck goes into all this kind of stuff. Why does that song succeed more than others? You hope every song that you write is the best song, but sometimes stars align and people connect with something, and now, it's played at sports venues all across the world, during games and everything. It's pretty wild. That video, we filmed it because we filmed the whole long form music video movie for all of the songs on Wretched and Divine. And basically the way that we did the In the End video is that after we shot the whole day, we would do one take of in the end in all the different locations. So that's why the video has so many different looks and locations, is that all the days that we shot, in every place that we shot, before we wrapped for the day, we would do one take all the way through of in the end so that we could have it on all these different places. And so that, I mean, there wasn't an in the end music video shooting day. You know what I mean? Like it was all different days. You know, I'd never met Patrick before that day, and Feldy said, you know, I want to get you guys together. I think that you'd really be able to write well together. And it was on the back of, sometimes you're invited to, like, parties and stuff that nobody really wants you at. Like, in my case, like, I'm often, like, third tier invited to, like, a video music awards party that nobody really wants me there, and I don't want to be there, but there's some sort of obligation to, like, the label or whatever else to go there. And so the day before, someone had invited me to something that I knew that they didn't really want me at, but it was like an obligation text of like, hey, you should come to this thing. And I was just saying to Feldy, and Patrick was in the room, just saying like, man, I hate all this stuff, because I don't like socializing, and I don't dance, and I don't do any of this. And I was just listing off, I hate parties, and then I started talking about parties, and I go, well, I'm a joker, I'm a Steve Miller Band, I can't stand that, it's always on. And I was just listing all this stuff, and then Patrick's like, that's what we should write about. And it was his idea initially to kind of take all these things that I was saying, and we just turned them into lyrics. And so we just started riffing back and forth about, I hate this thing, and this thing annoys the hell out of me. And it just became a social anxiety anthem, and people really connected with it. That song was the one I loved the most first. From the second it was done. I mean, from the second we did the demo, I thought, this is the single. And there were some people in our kind of camp amongst Feldy and everybody else that didn't necessarily agree with me right away. And I was kind of teased because Feldy's wife, Amy, was at the time the only person in the room that agreed with me that it should be the single. And so every time when I see Amy, I go, see? Like now when we do records, I go, I want to hear what Amy has to say about what the single should be, because she's the only one who agreed with me on We Don't Have to Dance. Yeah, Ghost of Ohio is a song it's about the character, but it's more about, where you're from and where you grow up, particularly if you're from a small town. It's a weird kind of dynamic where every good thing that you can remember and every bad thing that you can remember sometimes happen within like 30 feet of each other in that place. You can drive down a road in your town and you can go, on that side of the street, I had this great day. On that side of the street, a bunch of bullies jumped me or whatever. You know what I mean? So that can be part of where you're from. It can also make you feel like this is my home and I don't belong here, which is a really weird feeling, because obviously home is where you're meant to belong the most. So it's about that kind of the back and forth and the kind of yin and yang of where you're from versus where you belong. Yeah, we shot the video for Ghost of Ohio entirely in Cincinnati, particularly on the west side of Cincinnati, which is where I'm from. It was just myself and Patrick Fogarty and one camera and the drone, and that's the whole video. I mean, everything you're seeing in that video was he and I driving around all day. We went for 2 days. We filmed about 12 hours a day, 100 different setups, just on our own. No crew, nothing. No lights, nothing. We just did it all on our own and walked around and shot in the middle of the polar vortex going on, so it was very cold. But yeah, that was it, and it was so much fun to be able to see my town, because when you visit, you don't necessarily drive to everywhere you ever used to hang out in, and I basically spent 2 days like, what's everywhere I ever was, and just drove there and filmed.